Yes, welcome to the channel. And yes, today's topic is on loops. So, what do we expect from this session? So, one is like concept clarity on loops, what exactly the types are, right? Secondly, doing it with help of some code, right? Understanding their syntaxes. And third, we're going to practice some more questions. So, a bit of practice questions along with it. So, yeah, let's get started. Alright, so starting with understanding what exactly are loops. Loops are something that repeats, that reoccurs, right? Any line given in the code will be repeated some amount of times that I give, right? Maybe just take some real life examples like a teacher taking attendance in the class, right? So she repeats the name of the students every day and marks their attendances, right? So it happens like every day. It's like a daily loop in this situation, right? When we talk about more examples, let's say with music playlist, maybe you have a playlist of songs. So one song, when it's over, the other song starts, and then just keeps looping and playing all the songs until it reaches the end where it has nothing to play anymore, or it's been stopped based upon some conditions, right? So loops certainly works on some conditions that we're going to check out. And when we talk about Python, it has two types of loops. One is for loop and the second one is a while loop. Let's understand the differences. Right, let's understand about for loops here. First, let's get into the definition right away. A for loop is basically in Python is a way to repeat actions for a certain amount of times, right? So I would be specifying how many times I want to loop something and it would repeat it that many times. It will be going through a list of items one by one. So that's how the for loop is taken here. In for loop now, say for example, I just wanted to loop certain numbers and I wanted to print numbers from 1 to 10 maybe. So how do you start? What's the syntax here? The initially, you say for, that's how you begin, and then we take a variable which is going to help me iterate things. So let's take I in general. So we say for I in. Now I wanted like some range of numbers here. So I wanted like numbers to print from 1 to 10. So I'm going to give the range as in it needs the starting point and an ending point. So starting will be 1. Ending point is basically 10. But here the ending point should be plus 1 to the ending point. As in it's an exclusive number. So if I want 10, I need to give here 11. If you wanted to print till 11, you're supposed to give till 12. Okay, so that's the rule here. So I'd be going till 11. Now we have specified what's our range, and now you proceed giving a colon, press enter, and say print I. So if you see here, this I specifically, it just picks every number one by one from 1 to 11. It stops once it gets 10 and then it prints all of them, right? So I is like an iterator for me. It helps me to like pick each number one by one from starting to the end. So I run this now, and here it is. So numbers from 1 to 10 printed up here. Now let's see about intervals, how in loops we can use them. And I'm coming with an example that talks about countdown maybe. So since I'm going to count down stuff, I'm going to have a higher number as my starting value this time. So let's take like 10, and maybe we'll just put the ending value to be 0. We are obviously not going to have the 0 in the output, but it's going to go till there. Now when I said interval, so it's basically a third parameter in the range function. They're going to give a comma followed by, since I want to like decrease the numbers from 10 towards the 0, I'll be giving here -2. If you want to increase the number from smallest number to the highest, you give here +2, the other way around. So here I said for I in range, highest number to the lowest number -2. Let's run this quickly and check. So there it is. It gives me 10, and then 10 as the highest number. It makes sure that it steps down 2 and then goes to the upcoming, like the second value 8, followed by 6, 4, and 2. This is how we use intervals in a for loop. Now, not just that with the for loop, but for loops also like play around with text, because here we've been using the range function all over with the numbers here. Let me comment this up, and now I'm gonna take a variable in our case. Maybe just make a variable called name equals to double quotes, and we know that strings always come in the form of quotes. I've given a name over here, followed by I want to like loop this thing in a way that it has to iterate through every letter and print those. So again, the same syntax. So for say x, this time in the variable in which our string is stored, so colon enter. We have to make sure that we are following that indentation gap throughout the time, right? So here we go on by saying print, x. Let's run this and see. And so it just picks up each index value, each letter, and then it prints them there. Okay. Now let's talk about loop control statements here. This is not just used for the for loop but also for while loops. But how it works with the for loops, let's see. The first type of loop control statement is called continue. And say that I'm taking a for loop here with numbers. So I would just go with the range function again, starting from 1 to 10. And here I'm giving also a condition saying that, if my variable I reaches to a number, say 5, then I would say continue, which is the statement, and I would like after that print I. So what is this continue doing in this situation? Let's run and see first. So it prints all the numbers. What's wrong? So 1, 2, 3, 4, but there's no 5 right there. So whenever we talk about continue statement basically skips the conditional value. So the condition was related to I being 5. When it reaches 5, it skips that value and continues giving the other numbers, right? Hence continue. Now the second type of statement is your break statement. For break, let's just do the same thing. We'll just say break instead of continue, and instead of continuing giving the numbers, it breaks when it reaches 5. So if you see 1, 2, 3, 4, because once the loop starts running, so 1, 2, and 3, when I has the value 5 in it, when the value matches with 5, it breaks the whole loop and it stops there. So these two are quite important loop control statements in a lot of programs going ahead. So alright, we are now finally on the final part, which is the challenge page. You can pause the video here and try these questions by yourself and see that how many you got them correct by the end of the video. The first one talks about printing each item from a list. So I need to use a for loop for basically picking all the values from this list in our case. So again, let's begin. So we say for, right? We have this variable in our case that can index or pick each values one by one from, so basically in fruits, that's my list name, so colon enter, and now go ahead by printing this I. Right, let's run this and check the output. So there it is. That's our first question. Second one talks about taking sum of numbers, and if you pay attention to this, it talks about it has given a list of numbers in this case, and it is asking me to add all these numbers one by one and give me an output basically. So I have a list of numbers. Now I'm going to take a variable that can actually help me sum them up. So I'm going to make a variable called sum equals to 0. For this, we're going to start with a for loop in our case. So for, I'd say I in our number so that we can pick each number, right? And then we say sum plus equals to, meaning we are adding values, the next occurring value in the previous. So earlier sum was having the number 0 in it. Now I need to pick the first value and store it in this. Who is going to help me to pick the first value? It's I. So I is going to pick it through the loop. So I say sum plus equals to I, and since the loop loops again, it is going to then pick 2 and then same way keeps adding the value to the sum variable. See, either we can write sum plus equals to I, this is a short way, or the other way would be like sum equals to sum plus 1. It's just that we are plus I. So it's just that we are adding to the sum bucket each time a new value. So earlier it was 0, so 0 plus 1 gives me 1. Now my sum variable becomes 1. When we loop again, it goes like 1 plus, now the next occurring number would be 2. So 1 plus 2 would be 3, and it stores 3 inside it, right? The loop is just keeps step by step keeps adding the number inside the bucket, right? This is one way to write it, and the above one is a shorter way, or mostly used way. So you can use this print and then just say sum here, and let's run this and see. So it gives me the number 15 right there. Now the next one we talk about here is basically finding out even number from a range of numbers. Basically it is asking me to print all even numbers from 1 to 10 over here. So let's start, and we want to use a range function in this case. Let's start. So we say from I in range of numbers. So like they've mentioned, the range would be from 1 to 10. We follow the same. Oh, but we want the 10 included, so we'll be giving 11, colon, enter. Now we need a condition here. The condition is that the number should be an even number, for which we know even number is something that when we divide a number with 2, the remainder should be equivalent to 0. How do you find the remainder in this case? Is using modulo symbol. So this percentage symbol followed by 2 double equals to 0. The remainder value should be equals to 0. If it is so, then please print that for me. So just say that print and then say I. And so let's run this. So here it prints me 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10. Right, so from 1 to 10, all the numbers. Okay, let's start with the fourth question now that talks about counting characters in a string. So I'm having a variable that has a sentence that says, I love coding, and I need to count like how many letters are there inside it, how many characters basically, wouldn't say letters, because in this case, even the space is a character that is being counted up. So I'm going to use a variable for me that can, help me with counting things. So we'll just make a helper variable called count equals to 0. It's going to have the 0 variable value inside it. Now followed by, let's start with a for loop. So we say for I in sentence, and then we say the count variables is going to help me like increment the value by 1. So I'm saying that, hey, each time you come across a character, just add 1 inside the bucket. It just keeps looping. I think just keeps looping every single character one by one. Now let's print this and see. So I'm gonna say print, and what are we printing? The count, right? The count variable. So let's run this and see. There it is. So it gives me a count of 13, which you count yourself will give you 13 along with the spaces. So that's your fourth challenge here. The fifth and the last challenge, wouldn't say very basic, but slightly to the level that you need to think over here. So we are using, we talk about like, finding the maximum value from a list. So if you see, I have a list of like numbers, and it's like mixed numbers. It's not like in an order or something. So it's started like 3, 6, 2, 8, 4, and 10. We know the highest value is like 10 over here, but using a loop, how would you fetch it out? So would start by making a variable for me, again a max variable that can help, that initially it stores a number inside it. I would say, indexing. So we'd just say that numbers square bracket 0. If you've learned about lists earlier from the previous videos, you know what are indexing here. So it is helping me when I say number square bracket 0, it helps me to pick the first value, which is 3, and stores that in the variable, thinking that the first value is my maximum number. Now all I need to do is just do a comparison with every number. That is, my first value is only the highest one, or do I have anything other than the first value which is higher than that, right? So if I'm finding anything higher than the first value, then I assign that value to be my max number, and I keep comparing with every number going ahead. So let's see, let's start with a loop now. So we'll just say that for I in numbers, colon, enter, followed by, I have a condition here. So we say if the number that I'm having, the I, basically in this case 3 as the first value, is it greater than the maximum value taken earlier? If it is so, then make that max value equivalent to I. Meaning, so if say for example I picked 3, let's say that 3 was my maximum number earlier. Say that now I picked 6 as my highest number. Is now I check that, is 6 greater than 3? If it is so, then just make that 6 as your maximum number. So now I got a new maximum number in my case, right? Finally, I tried printing this, because this loop, what it does, it just goes through every single number and compares it. If it finds a highest maximum number, so in the end, if you see, we go to 4. And then finally we go to 10. So 10 is being the highest number, the maximum number, which is stored in the end after the comparisons with the rest. So it's going to print that. Okay, so let's run this and check the output. Alright, so here we have, so it just prints me the maximum number is 10. Just to make it more clear, I would just give a sentence attached with it. I'll just say that maximum number with a colon and some space, and run it again. The maximum number is 10. That's what it says. So these are five challenges that we did into this session, this video. I know they were very basic, but here we have not included any kind of functions or condition statements. Conditions we'll be learning about those in the future classes. But yes, these are for now. Let me know how many you got them correct, or maybe you have tried a different ways, because we know that this can be solved in multiple ways. But using a loop, right? That's what the main intention of the session here. So let me know if you've gotten all of them correct or not. Which was the thing that confused you the most, and how was it? So that's for this video. I know that I'm posting very late, but apologies for that. Like, handling my full day job and freelancing, and at the same time, YouTube is something very tiring for me. But yes, I have while loops video in the loop, and I'm going to post it like very soon, where we'll be also discussing what like the meaning about it, like what while loops are, practicing some questions on it, and then having challenge questions too. So let's see that how for loops video goes. If you have any questions or something, please put it over here. And yes, I will be dropping this video very soon. Sorry for posting it very late, but yes, the struggle is real. All right, so see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.